Oh Supercell, you just keep pushing, don't you? Whether it be the absolute state Clash Royale is in right now, the mess that Clash of Clans and Clash Mini are regarding cosmetics, the decaying yet profitable state of Heyday, or the recently introduced hypercharge inside of Brawl Stars, you've always been fond of making questionable decisions within your games that benefits nobody except yourself. While Supercell is one of the more cleaner track records regarding their exploitative practices, this year has been relatively murky regarding some of the changes that have taken shape within some of their games. Now, I'm going to exclude Boom Beach from this assessment. The game has recently got its own new development team and it's essentially a blank slate right now, so I don't wish to insult it too much. Today, I'm instead going to be discussing the 4 big games that Supercell currently has under its belt, those being Clash of Clans, Clash Royale, Brawl Stars and Clash Mini. I know it's slightly controversial that I'm leaving Clash Mini in this considering the game is a beta, but I think that's where we should start regarding the exploitative philosophy Supercell has adopted and how Supercell is slowly but surely exploiting you. Clash Mini was released in beta on November 8th, 2021 to some European countries as well as Canada, almost 2 years ago to this day. I'm going to skip the whole boring assessment about what the game went through during its development time, as trust me, there's a lot of changes to go through, whether it be the hyperinflation of the currency that was in the game, the somewhat tedious quests, or the abysmal state of the UI. The presentation of Clash Mini has quite honestly come a long way. However, its monetization policies have not. If anything, they've actually gotten worse with time as the game constantly entices you with offers for minis as well as the heroes that command them. Whether it be the insanity that happens to be the Cam Test pack, arguably the most broken hero inside of the game right now, or the fact that a game is demanding roughly $40 for each mini and hero is straight up unacceptable inside of a huge bundle pack. A game that was built for strategy, for creative thinking, as well as to prove that Supercell still has the capacity to make an enjoyable game without overtly monetizing it, essentially went down the toilet the moment it was released and some of these packs were announced. You can buy heroes at the beginning of the game, and I mean right at the beginning, the moment you link your Supercell ID or complete some of the training matches. Not only that, you can still level them up to the maximum level, level 15, whilst also leveling up your minis to level 3, whilst also enhancing the abilities of your heroes right from the start of the game thanks to these packs. I must admit, not even Clash Royale happens to prey on those new to the game quite like Clash Mini. Does the matchmaking system adjust for this near to the beginning of the game? Nah, not really. That's not to mention the fact there are some obvious developmental oversights inside of the game too, such as this pack being advertised despite owning everything or the fabled mini pass existing. I love Clash Mini, I really do, but it's this exploitative nature of enticing people with an easygoing experience, where they can sit back and do nothing that doesn't really help its situation as a flourishing game. I named Clash Mini first as I feel like it's a nice example of what Supercell is encouraging all of its games to become, and that's simply a pay-to-win philosophy in the name of inflating their wallets and egos. I will say that's the case for all of the games, but I don't think Clash of Clans applies here. Yeah, for a game that you cannot win, the game does advertise an awful amount of cosmetics, some that are really good, most of which are extremely poorly made and clunky to deal with. Supercell inside the Clash of Clans likes to execute a trick known as exclusivity bait. Take a look at their chess.com partnership for example. The game is currently offering a limited edition chess piece themed scenery that once the 3 weeks or so elapsed from the time it was advertised, it would be gone forever. It's one of the oldest tricks in the book, but it's one of those simple tricks that drive up the valuation of their sceneries, considering people are unsure whether or not they'll see them again. Chances are you will eventually, but the price will be massively inflated as it's valued at the equivalent of $10 in the case of some exclusive items, or simply at 1,500 gems, which roughly equates to the same value as opposed to the quote-unquote discounted price that you usually see. I know as a mobile game developer, Supercell must rake in profits somehow like any other company, but Clash of Clans has honestly become a bloated mess of cosmetic as of the past few years, and it really goes to show within the fact that a lot of these cosmetics barely match the art style of Clash of Clans and are simply kicked out the door the moment they're done. These cosmetics, they have absolutely zero value outside of Clash of Clans, and I like to argue they're not even worth the $10 that you do pay inside of the game, as the game has no definitive trading system. But why would it? It feels like almost every single month, hundreds of thousands of people are tricked out of their own money for these cosmetics cosmetics as they have the fear of missing out. Supercell then exploits this fear even further with its gold pass offerings, such as the Chest Queen, but I'd like to argue that this is extremely well valued and one of the only parts of Clash of Clans that isn't too exploitative. I will give it to Supercell in the fact that they've kept Clash of Clans relatively balanced for the free-to-play player, but that isn't really my talking point for this video. To put it simply, being a free-to-play player means progression will be slow in pretty much any Supercell game. It's not exactly a problem with Supercell games, but games more generally where you pay money for an XP boost or even just simple magic items inside of Clash of Clans to enhance your progress or to gem things to skip that wait. Clash of Clans is more pay to progress, and Supercell's exploitative practices have had to evolve to become more creative to adapt to this atmosphere of knowing that people are quite patient by exploiting those who aren't patient by enticing them with exclusive offers that will expire eventually, never to be seen again. Mixed in with the fact that once you get up to Town Hall 11, your progress slows down significantly. It's almost like their update that was designed to help you progress through the earlier Town Hall levels end up favouring them nicely whenever people get to Town Hall 11 or 12 and realise that the progress has been slowed significantly. And if they want to get to the maximum Town Hall that they initially promised with how fast the first 10 Town Halls flew by for them, they would have to invest their money into gems so they can progress their Town Hall alongside their entire base forward. The same goes for the packs that are offered occasionally inside of the game. When people enjoy a game, they don't want to spend their time waiting around for the progression, and after being enticed by how quickly those previous Town Halls flew by, of course they're going to continue playing to fuel their short-term attachment to the game in the hopes of progressing as far as possible before the game gets too boring for them. That's what Supercell wants. They wish for people to gem their bases in regulation, buy the gold pass to progress their base even further once you reach beyond Town Hall 7, as well as wall off certain paying individuals with enticing offers regarding exclusive skins, items and sceneries. The packs inside of Clash of Clans are quite a large problem too, but they're not as problematic as those found inside of our next game, Clash Royale. Now this game right here, this is how Supercell exploits you in a nutshell. This game has been paid to win right from the get-go. I would argue that Clash Mini shares correlation, but that game actually still requires your brain to play. This game, nope. Whether it be the super magical chest of legendaries near the beginning of the game, the Mega Knight's introduction, magic items, champions, or the recently added evolutions in level 15, this game has always been designed to screw you out of your savings by manifesting a false sense of competition alongside an urge to be superior above all that you fight. Clash Royale offers inroads to an enlightened path where you're able to spend money for a massive amount of cards, magic items, or straight up buying evolution shards just so you can copy and paste the deck before stomping everyone you face. There are some practices inside of this game that cannot be fully confirmed as I am not a developer, but the game has been known to give people paying a winning streak by intentionally matching up with those who have inferior decks before ripping that sense of superiority away to keep that money flowing. This cannot be confirmed, but if it is true, then this has to be the scummy Supercell practice that they conduct. They essentially give you a row to pay for a few free tokens to win, and it's even been known to change based on how much money you spend in the game, as well as what specific deck you're using. I've already talked about level 15 evolutions countless times, not to mention Supercell's rather predatory past regarding this game, but I'm here to talk about the psychology they use to rip money out of your bank account directly into their pockets, and this is my leading charge. Supercell exploits you by offering these packs, thinking that they give you some sense of value, even overinflating their value whenever you go to purchase that pack, only to end up giving you a few free wins thanks to your evolved cards, your leveled up cards, even your boosted cards. When that win streak wears off, your natural reaction is to think you're not bad at the game, but that your deck or your cards aren't good enough, leading you to spend even more money on the game to further your progression. I am actually amazed that Supercell has yet to introduce cosmetic skins to Clash Royale other than the star points, which pretty much go unused as a currency, but I wouldn't be surprised if they do this in order to milk the game even further and to give you a falsified sense of individuality. Those tower skins you unlock with either past Royales, those banners you get from the banner boxes, they're all designed to give you a unique sense of individuality, a reward for paying to win, but it doesn't differentiate you at all, especially if you're in the top 1000 and plenty of people surrounding you have paid to get there. I'm not saying skill is completely worthless inside of Clash Royale, I'm saying that the amount of monetization madness that has occurred within the game has ruined any sort of creativity within the meta. All of the decks are the same. To compete, you must be max level and constantly buying elite wildcards or evolution shards, all whilst clinging onto the past rail to assist you with that progression even further. Whenever you play Clash Royale competitively, you are trapped within a bubble bubble. A bubble that they can exploit. They know that to be good, just playing for free isn't going to cut it. They know if you really want to reach the big leagues or to win any form of arbitrary glory, you're going to have to sacrifice some of your hard-earned cash for that sense of gratification. To deceive you into thinking you're good, when in reality, all they wish to do is appease you so they can access your wallet with ease. Unfortunately, this game isn't the only game straying down this route. Now, I cannot say with 100% certainty that Brawl Stars is also going to end up straying down this path of exploitation, but to think that Brawl Stars is immune from obvious corporate attitude shift that has occurred internally within Supercell is a delusional perspective to hold. Clash Mini has been overrun by monetization that'll give you a good start in the game, Clash of Clans will be filled to the brim with skins that don't really matter, Clash Royale is just burning, and now Brawl Stars might be straying down this path too, but I emphasize the might. When hypercharges were announced and later released, it brought me brief flashbacks to the evolutions that exist within Clash Royale. As I know for now, it's actually quite balanced, but I also know that Supercell was selling packs inside of Brawl Stars to further progress of those who hadn't unlocked hypercharges yet by selling them. This seems quite innocent by itself. Heck, you can even earn the Brawl Pass just by playing the game long enough and accumulating gems, but I've begun to notice a slight shift within the pattern of the updates. As the game has been updated this year, more things have been further unbalanced. One particular thing that irked me a slight bit was the fact that the bridge between level 10 and level 11 brawlers has been increased significantly from just 5% to 10% thanks to the hypercharge update. Whilst not a substantial change within itself and something that could be potentially balanced as more time goes on and more hypercharges release, this has definitely shifted the meta to a point where hypercharges alongside the massive bump in level difference could be seen as a desirable way for the Brawl Stars developers to make some money. Supercell tends to exploit people in different ways across their games. Within Brawl Stars, it's the retention rate that are exploiting to not only keep the game alive, but to entice people to buy gems for the Brawl Pass, as opposed to earning it, considering the Brawl Pass does offer a significantly superior bonuses over its free-to-play counterpart to the point where it can seem quite disproportionate. Not many game-changing things have been introduced to Brawl Stars as of recently either. Frank, one of the game's lead developers, actually spoke out about this and admitted that the game wasn't seeing the same amount of retention rate and player interest as it was during 2021, and their respective updates the game received during that time span. I just hope as Supercell's most popular yet least profitable game, that Brawl Stars remains relatively immune to some of Supercell's more shadier and exploitative practices, as it, quite frankly, quite deserves to be left out of all of this. Now that we've been through each Supercell game, excluding the heyday and boom beaches are not really mainstream anymore, allow me to take you through which aspects of the game they use to thoroughly exploit you alongside surrender your money to them, using examples that I've listed throughout the entirety of this video as reference. First of all, 3 out of the 4 games I've mentioned use the Clash IP, exploiting the brand value of those games to promote, say, Clash Royale and Clash Mini from Clash of Clans. If these games weren't a part of the Clash IP, they would be relatively unknown and people probably wouldn't be so lenient regarding the way Supercell exploits them thanks to this branding. Supercell's also been known to stretch the limits of what a loot box is in the past as well. Although the previous brawler boxes were replaced with star drops, admittedly quite a well balanced system as opposed to merely paying for them, although it has spawned some disappointment in the past, Supercell has been known to brazenly advertise their loot box inside the Clash Royale alongside Clash Mini to deliver some sense of false gratification upon earning them or spending your money to progress, banking on the random nature of everything to deliver an experience that favours the house being Supercell. They've also been known to exploit people's fears of missing out, as pointed out by the massive amount of cosmetics that flood Clash of Clans as they trick people into buying things they really don't need. One thing I'd like to point out to how Supercell exploits people is their deceptive marketing. I know marketing is intentionally designed to be deceptive in general, but Supercell's basically fired most of their marketing team, all in the name of producing crappy ads that fit the rather cringe TikTok spawn meta of deceptive gameplay mixed with their recycled animations. These advertisers have been known to promote the use of level 50 inside of Clash Royale, the fast progression of a town hall inside of Clash of Clans, as well as unlocking brawlers inside of Brawl Stars exceptionally fast, when in reality, it takes years to reach that point inside any of these games. Supercell plants the idea of progressing really easily inside of your mind, leaving you to make the conscious decision to then spend your money on the game to reach those promised levels of progression, especially if you end up loving the game you see inside those advertisements, which you most likely will because it's Supercell. Supercell never used to be like this. From a wholesome farming game that could be a little slow paced, the older style of Clash of Clans where you weren't tricked with an addictive progression rate, even the earlier state of Clash Royale where you had a fighting chance against opponents at extremely high levels compared to your own, an obvious shift has occurred between the Supercell of then compared to the Supercell of now. Although I cannot blame one singular source, it appears that Tencent seems to be at the helm of most of this. For those unfamiliar, Tencent is a Chinese conglomerate known to be rather exploitative. They ended up buying an 80% stake in Supercell in 2016 and completed their acquisition of Supercell in late 2022, most likely leading to some of the more exploitative practices we see inside of Supercell's games to the very day, as Tencent presumably wants their money back from what's arguably the largest mobile game developer that exists out there currently. These suspicions were confirmed with the brief week beta run of Flood Rush. This game was absolutely awful, and although not exploitative inside of itself, the only reason this game got feedback and people were playing was the fact that Supercell supposedly developed the game. The nature of this claim is questionable, as this creation seems like a creation spawned by Tencent in the hopes of creating something unoriginal to capitalize on Supercell's branding, or simply as a test. This year has been a difficult year for Supercell so far, and although none of their games are most likely going to die anytime soon, it seems as if their reputation might be circling the drain thanks to the things they've been forced to do, most likely in the name of their puppet master Tencent. This is why I think people who believe Brawl Stars happens to be immune are slightly delusional. This plague has encroached upon every other Supercell game. I don't want to seem too depressing, but I honestly think Brawl Stars is next, but only time can tell whether the statement will remain true, which I really hope it doesn't. As for now, so long as you play Supercell's games competitively and not casually, Supercell will always find a way to exploit you, and this seems like the philosophy or mindset that will remain in place and won't be changing anytime soon. This has been Nate representing how Supercell exploits you, the tricks they've pulled inside their games, alongside outlining a potential reason why. Thank you all for watching, and may the cosmos shine upon you.